This is Reverend Jon Turner for everydaybuddhist.org. We are on the second lecture of the Two Nirvana Theory course. This is the second time around the loop. We're entering the Buddha section for the second time, course number 5. And we just finished the 3 holidays. And now we're moving into with remainder. You can see over my right-hand shoulder, I've got the 2 sala trees, the Buddha facing east, and I have the 1 Bodhi tree with the Buddha facing west, 1 at 35, 1 at 80. And as a math major, I love with remainder. You can see up there, I hope, that if you divide 9 by 2, you get the answer of 4, but there's a remainder of 1. There's something left over. It doesn't divide evenly. And so with remainder means that the Buddha realizes awakening initially at 35, but there's still some remainder. It's not complete, it's not perfect, and it's not total. And so we will get into that now. What is awakening or insight or enlightenment or nirvana with remainder? And this again comes from the book right here on my desk, Metaphor and Literalism in Buddhism. And what the scholar does is he takes a lot of the stories that are filled with metaphor and explains how they were interpreted literally. Even by ancient Indians, after the Buddha died, the metaphor begins to get lost. And I think maybe it's natural to accept things kind of on the surface. And some of this deeper metaphoric meaning of these holidays begins to get lost a little bit. I have people that I teach and talk to and work with at the temple who say when they were young, they heard the Hanamatsuri story and thought it made no sense, that it was a fairy tale. And for little kids, I think it would be important for somebody to tell them, this is not a literal story. It's what the story means. It's a carrier of emotional truth, of spiritual truth. It's supposed to mean something. It's not supposed to be recounting historical fact. So we will begin our second lecture with remainder. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take some quotes out of this reference books we're using on metaphor and literalism. This is called in big bold letters in the essay, the Two Nirvana Theory in the early canon. So this isn't something that came up way later in China or Japan. It's not the Mahayana canon. This is in the Pali canon, the earliest text about the Buddha. So this isn't, wild imaginings and imagination hundreds of years later. This can be found in original texts, early texts, like Gautama Buddha. So he says here from page 106, it is generally accepted that there are 2 nirvanas in early Buddhism, and they are differentiated as nirvana with remainder of clinging and nirvana without a remainder of clinging. And so we'll find out that this clinging at 35 is that the Buddha is still fully human. He still has the 3 poisons of anger, ignorance, and greed. It's just that they do not last long. They exist, but they don't overwhelm him. He's aware of them. So you could say the difference between a 35-year-old Siddhartha is that he might feel anger, he might feel greed, but he identifies it and it leaves quickly. He doesn't cling to it. And so this is a major step at 35. So we will investigate this some more. The following quote says, Nirvana with a remainder of clinging could not originally mean enlightenment or arhat, but meant non-returner, a state in which there still were some attachments left to be perfected. So this idea that the Buddha suddenly was a perfect being at 35, he says here, that can't possibly be what it means. There was still work to be done. There was still a path to take. So the Buddha's spiritual career and growth didn't end at 35. You could say it was finally oriented in the right direction. He had a moment of deep and profound insight, and he practiced for the next 45 years and deepened his understanding through continued practice. So he wasn't done, but he's finally taken the right start. Like Mary Poppins says, a job well begun is already half done. So this is like the Buddha. He is very well begun, realizing initial, partial awakening under the Bodhi tree at 35.